Okay, hello everyone, this is Uniquely Samuel, and welcome to another video. Today I'm actually really excited because this is so far been my favorite build in the game. It's a Virtuoso, of course, and I actually am doing a Condition Dagger based build, which really surprised me that it actually worked. I had a lot of hesitation trying it, but I was very pleasantly surprised. So let's start off with the skills, and then I'll go into the traits and equipment. So to start off, I'm of course wielding a dagger and a torch, and I'll go into those a bit more later. Then my heal skill is Twin Blade Restoration. Now, normally I take the Signet of Ether as my heal skill, and this is still a strong skill, but I did find that Twin Blade Restoration edged out in efficiency. The reason is because the healing is instantaneous. You shoot out 2 blades and you heal, and then you get bonuses depending on which of the 2 blades or both hit a target. Now, if the first blade hits a target, I lose a condition. If the second blade also hits, then I gain Aegis and a random boon from these 3 here that are on the list, on the screen. Regen, Swiftness, and Vigor. But the thing is I don't have to have the blades hit the target in order to gain my healing. As soon as I hit the skill, boom, I get the healing. And then I get the bonuses on top of that if the blades hit. Whereas with Signet of Ether, it takes a full second before the healing actually hits me. So I've been having a lot more success with Twin Blade Restoration. Next, I have Signet of Domination. Gives me improved condition damage and a potential CC, a stun. I don't use the stun unless I absolutely have to because I really like the extra condition damage. Next, I have a Stun Break and Psychic Force. This is one of the new Virtuoso skills. It does some damage, gives Fury and Might, and it is another CC. It's a knockback. And I can use this either as a Stun Break or as a CC because I'm also running the Signet of Midnight, which improves expertise and then is a stun break that blinds and gives me stealth. So I can use either of these for the purpose of a stun break or for their alternate effects, as in the Psychic Force, I get to do a CC, and with Signet of Midnight, because of my traits, I get Condi Cleanse. Next up, I have the Signet of Humility. Humility reduces the duration of incoming CCs, and then it is a boatload of CC. It turns the target into a MOA or does a dramatic amount of Defiant Bar damage. So those are my skills. So let's go into the traits next. I'm running Inspiration, Illusions, and Virtuoso. Now, Inspiration is not dedicated for damage, it's dedicated for self-sustain. And that's partly why I love this build so much, because I have a good amount of self-healing. As you'll see when I go over these traits, it is Illusions that I take for my damage. So let's go ahead and talk about the specific traits in Inspiration. I have Sympathetic Visage, where my phantasms take my conditions when they are first summoned. There's not really any point to taking the other 2 skills, because I'm not using any mantras, and I'm usually a solo player, so I don't need the feedback when reviving an ally. So this is just a nice little bonus that is the only trait really that I can take. Next, I have Restorative Illusions. Heal yourself and lose conditions when you use a Shatter skill. So that's a decent amount of healing plus a Condi Cleanse every time I'm shattering. And I shatter a lot. So this is really useful for self-sustain. It is one of the most powerful skills for self-sustain, in my opinion, that is available to a mesmer. Next up, I have Blurred Inscriptions. Signets have improved active effects, and activating one grants you Distortion. Now, Distortion makes you immune to conditions and to damage, and then I also get to reflect projectiles. But my signets, and I'm running 3 of them, are more effective anyway, so let's see what they do. In Signet of Domination, if I use this skill, I get to remove wounds. In Signet of Midnight, I've already mentioned this, but because of this trait, I get Condi Cleanse. And Signet of Humility, I get to inflict a lot of vulnerability. So this is what I use in Inspiration. It's dedicated to self-sustain. Now let's go into Illusions. In Illusions, I run the Pledge, which reduces the recharge on my torch skills and gives me additional burning. Then I have Maim the Disillusion. Shatter skills inflict torment on hit. That is effective on all of my shatters, including the more defensive ones. So even Bladesong Dissonance, which is the days per blade, it still does more damage because it has torment. Same with my defensive block. Shatter, Blade Turn, Requiem. Say that 10 times fast. It also will do torment to every target that it hits. So this is kind of a no-brainer for a Condi build. Then I have Master Fragmentation. Your shatter skills are improved. Since I'm shattering so often, I kind of needed this skill. Bladesong Harmony, the F1, has an increased critical hit chance. Bladesong Sorrow, the F2, cripples on hit, giving me a little bit more breakbar damage. And Dissonance strikes up to 5 targets within range. And Blade Turn Requiem, the duration is increased. So this is really useful when you're shattering a lot. And since you're constantly going to be gaining blades, you will be shattering a lot. One issue I've found with this build is that I get blades so often that I am usually having to wait on shatter cooldowns in order to actually shatter, because yeah, I just have all the blades already, but the cooldowns aren't up yet. Okay, so in Virtuoso, this is why I was very skeptical about this build. In Jagged Mind, which is the trait I'm running, it says that blade attacks inflict bleeding on critical hits. A percentage of your condition damage also heals you. So the second part isn't very important, but it is nice. Just to have a nice little extra sustain. But it's the critical hits that had me very skeptical. You see, in Dagger, all of my 3 Dagger skills are blades. All of my shatter skills are blades. My heal skill is a blade, and my Psychic Force, the one stun break / CC, is also a blade. So all of these skills have a chance to inflict bleeding. And I wasn't sure if critical hits were enough to really count as a condition build. But let me just say I was very pleasantly surprised by how many bleeds I get, and just how effective this is. Next, I have Sharpening Sorrow. Gain Fury when you activate Bladesong Sorrow, which is the F2 that inflicts Confusion and Cripple. That Fury increases my Expertise. Expertise increases my condition duration. Next, you have a choice. I'm running Bloodsong, and I found that this is most applicable for me and for this build. And it says, bleeding you apply deals increased damage. Okay, perfect. Stock a blade after applying enough stacks of bleeding to foes. I wasn't sure how effective this would be, but I'm getting blades all the time, so during combat, but only when I can inflict bleeding. So there are some targets in the game that are immune to conditions, And so I really struggle against those targets. So if I know that I am about to face a target that is immune to conditions, I can easily switch to Infinite Forge, which is the other option for this build. Automatically stock blades while in combat. You can use either of these, but I think that Blade Song is a little bit more powerful, mostly because it increases the bleeding damage that you give. And it says here that the bleeding stacks per blade is 5. What that means is roughly every 5 stacks of bleeding, you'll get a blade. At least that's how it seems to work when I've been paying attention to this, to my shatters. Every 5 or so bleed stacks, I stock another blade. And so I inflict a lot of bleeding, especially when I use shatter skills, because I have 5 blades per shatter, up to 5 blades per shatter. And so that is 5 chances for bleeding. And I usually end up with quite a few bleeds off of each shatter, in addition to my other skills. So I do think that Bloodsong is more effective, but if you're nervous, or if you're running against targets that might not be, or that might be immune to conditions, go ahead and run Infinite Forge. It's fine. Next up, let's talk about the equipment. For my equipment, I am running armor of full Sinister with Rune of the Undead. Now, the reason I picked Sinister is because I needed the critical hit chance. Normally, Vipers is considered the best condition damage stat, also alongside Trailblazers. But neither of those have enough precision to really justify their use for this build because of Jagged Mind, since I only inflict those conditions, the bleeding, on critical hits. I really needed at least 50% critical hit chance in order to make this work. So my armor, again, is all Sinister. My weapons are Sinister. But my trinkets are Vipers, because that's just what I had available in Ascended equipment gear. So I just went ahead and used what I had. You can use full Sinister here as well, but I'm already getting 50% critical hit chance through my equipment and the superior sigil of accuracy, so I don't really need the extra Sinister, but hey, if you want to use it, you'll get some extra bleeding. On my dagger, I am running the Sigil of Earth, which inflicts bleeding for 6 seconds on critically hitting a foe, with a cooldown of 2 seconds, so that's just extra bleeds, which really comes in handy when I am using my Bladesong Harmony, since it has a critical hit chance increase of 25%. That lets me get extra bleeding in addition to the potential of 5 bleeds from that skill. It just lets me stock more blades, and it lets me do more damage. And then in the torch, I have, of course, the Sigil of Accuracy, because I need just that little edge when it comes to critical hit chance. Okay, so that is the build. This is the Condition Dagger. And thank you very much for watching. Please feel free to like and subscribe. And hey, comment down below too. Tell me what you think of the build and if you've tried something like this before. I will have some footage coming up that shows some gameplay with this build. And I have to say, I have been very happy with this build. I do want to say that it is my favorite Virtuoso build, and quite possibly my favorite build in the game right now. So again, thank you for watching. Take care and see you next time.
Eat my dust! have enough energy.
Sharpest.